Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to do some thoughts and theories about a TV show, Nosferatu, or NOS4A2. I just go ahead and just skip into it and just say Nosferatu. This will be me going into spoilers, so if you have not seen all of season 1, do not watch this because I will be spoiling stuff. But also, I'm going to be reiterating some stuff I said in my review. In particular, this video is just some thoughts and theories I have about where Vic's story will take her in this sense of, as we saw, you know, in this season finale, kind of on two-part season finale because episode 8 and 9 put together, 9 and 10 put together. Nevertheless, we saw that Charlie took her bike and threw it inside of her Inscape, her bridge, and she can't access it because her bike was her only knife. That's a whole thing. So we see even at the end of the season, she hasn't gotten access back to it yet. Now, my thought process is, because there's the whole conversation of, well, multiple people can have multiple knives. Obviously, we saw that with Jolene. A part of my brain was like, oh, but wouldn't Vic need her original knife to be destroyed? It's like, no, because Jolene, Charlie had her skates, but her new knife was her wheelchair, so they can coexist. But like I said, this is some thoughts I had that popped up in my review that I'm just going to make their own thing. My immediate thought was that basically, if anything's going to be her knife, it's going to be Craig's bike. Because we haven't seen it since, you know, the cops were there, you know, because Maggie had called them, because obviously it was about, you know, trying to track down Bing. That's the last time we saw Craig's bike. I think the bike it has such an emotional connection to Vic that I think it's going to be her new knife. That's what I believe. Just because, like, her bike originally has some significance. Obviously, it was like her first bike. It was from her dad. To be fair, now that she's older, she looks back on it and being like, oh, that was her dad's attempt and an apology for just like the abusive situation that, you know, between him and her mom. So there's a lot of complicated emotions associated with that bike, but I think it's also just because she always cherished it. I think the same thing can apply to Craig's bike because it's so important to her, because it reminds her of Craig. But I think that would be a big reason why she won't go to it or even think that, because she doesn't want to touch anything associated with Craig. I mean, to be fair, she's having his baby, but it's probably going to be too much of a hard thing of like using that bike. But I think that emotional connection is what's going to trigger that bike to become her new knife. Another thought I had, and they've never really elaborated on this, I thought would be kind of interesting, is you kind of decide your new knife, essentially. That's what I was thinking. Like, maybe in the case of Vic, like when she was testing out all those new bikes, I thought that might be something the direction they go in. It's like, maybe it's a thing of like, you yourself make things your knife, which I guess technically to a certain extent kind of would coincide with what I was kind of saying with the whole Craig situation. Like, the emotional connection from her to the bike would make it her new knife. But, you know, it's kind of an interesting thought, whether or not it's a, like I said, you choose your knife, or whether your knife chooses you, or whether it's a balance. Like, you know, because there's like some universal, like, you know, things at play here. So it's kind of like, you know, maybe it's kind of somewhere in the middle of like destiny kind of chooses your knife for you, but at the same, because obviously it has to be something personal to you, because obviously, like, can't Vic's bike and Jolene's skates being her, you know, knives. I mean, I guess to a certain extent, you know, maybe the tiles were important to Maggie, hence why they're her thing. To be fair, she's not the same thing as a strong creative. Her thing is obviously is because she's a medium, but still. A question I did wonder though is, what does that mean for Vic? Like, the moment her bike was thrown into her Inscape, like, because obviously we saw that it caused her a lot of pain, more pain than anything she's ever done before. Like, riding in her Inscape affected her. Obviously it messed up her eye, but this instant, the moment Charlie threw it in, her eye started bleeding heavily. So part of me was wondering, is that supposed to be like representing the fact that her Inscape was closed off to her? Basically, her bike lets her punch between reality and thought, that space in between, just like Maggie's tiles work in the same way. So maybe the moment the bike was thrown in there, it destroyed her connection to the Inscape, hence why it caused her much damage. I'm also curious, like, if she did manage to get inside of her Inscape, would her bike still be there, or would it be a situation where it got destroyed the moment she chose a new knife? Like, what would happen, you know, now that it was gone now, you know? I mean, I'm all saying this about bikes. I mean, to be fair, her knife could be anything. Like, look at, like I said, Jolene went from skates to her wheelchair, so it could be anything, but I'd assume in Vic's case, it would be a bike. This is just stuff that was kind of rattling off in my brain that I want to share with you guys. In the comments down below, I'd love to know your thoughts about everything. Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Like I said, what are your thoughts in general about Vic and potentially her getting back her Inscape and the whole new knife situation? Or will she find a way to get her old knife back from the Inscape? like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.